Story 1. They have a disregard for boundaries, always play the victim, and show a lack of remorse for their actions. Story 2. They are always the hero or victim in their stories, never the antagonist. They have no desire to learn how their choices impact others. Run away. Story 3. Two things I've found. 1. If they speak negatively about others to you when those people are not around to hear it, they will likely speak negatively about you when you're not around. 2. If they treat people who have nothing they want poorly, then as soon as you are no longer what they want from you, they may become abusive or just ignore you after they get what they want or discover you have nothing to offer. Story 4. They manipulate and reverse the argument when you were the one who had your feelings hurt initially. Story 5. Only nice to people they are attracted to, brag about how their partners or family accept their abusive behavior. Cheaters in a relationship and marriage most likely lie to their jobs and friends. People, especially those over 35, still talk badly about other people's appearance. Story 6. They have more than 10 best friends. This sounds counterintuitive, but it is impossible to have deep relationships at the level of best friend with that many people, especially if you are a busy working adult. It suggests shallow relationships and emotional immaturity. This is not always definitive but can be a red flag. Story 7. They cut in lines where people who have clearly been waiting. Humans are afraid to stand up for themselves. Not with me standing anywhere nearby. Pound salt. Story 8. Individuals with narcissistic personality disorder blame others for their wrongs and do not take responsibility for their actions. They often play the victim and say, "You made me do it." Story 9. When people use mental illness as a justification for harmful behavior instead of owning up to their shortcomings, apologizing to others, and actively trying to improve, it is unfair. I am bipolar and take responsibility for my actions, even though many times I cannot control it. I apologize and strive to be better, working hard to avoid episodes. Mental illness does not give a person permission to behave poorly because their words and actions still affect those around them, who have just as much right to their feelings. Story 10. They lie. They are hypocrites. Everything from their mouths is about religion and family values, but they will stab you in the back and care only about the facade. They are fools. Story 11. They change their personality depending on the person. If they seem sweet to you but a second later treat a waiter poorly, that is a huge red flag. Story 12. I once tried to explain that I was using certain symbols that have been a part of my life since I was a child because they genuinely refer to me and that I was not copying anyone else. I had a friend who accused me of copying her interests when I was scrolling through my saved posts on Reddit. I did not even know she liked half that stuff, and she told me when I said I liked one thing, "You can like that because I don't like it." This creator, who used the same very common symbol, started copying everything I did, from remaking my clothes in different colors to copying stickers I bought and art I made to such a blatant degree it was insane. She even copied the words I use on Reddit and used them herself. She copied my profession. I am going to sue her. Story 13. When you tell someone that something they said or did upset you, and they defend it instead of apologizing. For example, you could say, "You making a joke about that made me feel bad." And they would say, "Well, that is just my humor, it is part of who I am, and if you do not like it, oh well, I guess you were just not who I thought you were." People have bad days and make mistakes, but when this happens repeatedly, they are not the right person for you. Story 14. Always playing the victim, manipulative, treating people like they are transactional, showing no remorse, and never owning up to their bad actions when they are exposed. Story 15. They hit you with a car. When you are on the floor injured, they pull your hair and urinate in your mouth. Story 16. When first impressions quickly disappear and are not at all how the individuals presented themselves initially. Story 17. If someone talks negatively about others to you, they also talk negatively about you to others. Story 18. They clearly tell you that they are not. If anyone does, take them at their word and move along. Either they are telling the truth and doing you a kindness or lying about it, looking for sympathy or pity as a form of manipulation. The latter is worse, but either way, carry on and do not look back. Story 19. They do not put carts back at stores. I know it is cliché, But any simple behavior that is neither illegal nor punished, yet is correct both morally and socially, is the best way to understand a person's values. If they do not do it, then that attitude most likely extends to other things. Story 20. Normally, if they say the words, "I am a good person," it is a sign that they are, in fact, not a good person. Story 21. Everyone thinks they are the good person in their own personal story. No one who is mentally well thinks they are the worst person in the room. Story 22. It is funny that this question is brought up. I have found that usually good people are the most ill and bad people tend to be more honest. I do not think there is one thing that people can do that makes them inherently good or bad. Story 23. The old advice of watching how a person treats service staff at restaurants and service stations is still very useful. If they treat strangers badly, I sometimes intervene if appropriate or at least reassure the service person that I thought they had been treated poorly and unfairly. I also avoid friendships or doing business with people who are unkind to others. Story 24. When they choose opinions over facts. When they coddle animal hoarders instead of calling them out. When they choose to be unreasonable. When they choose to only see things from their point of view. When they dismiss your thoughts and feelings. When they talk down to anyone. Story 25. They don't know how to say sorry and always want to be the smartest person in the room for no reason. They are obsessed with intelligence quotient, which they think compensates for being wise, but it does not, unfortunately. Story 26. They think they are. The only way to be a good person is to actively help people as much as you can. Almost all people are bad. Period. Story 27. They announce anytime children are mentioned that they hate those little kids and despise them completely. Story 28. People who highlight their past achievements instead of congratulating someone for their current achievement. Story 29. A sign that someone is not a good person mostly has to do with how they treat others and how they treat themselves. Story 30. If someone offers you heroin and you refuse, then they pull out a gun, steal your money, and inappropriately touch your elbow and neck at the same time. Story 31. When you can remember the last time they took something and never recall a time they gave anything. Story 32. Typically, when someone is a bad person, I know they are not a good person because how can you be both a good person and a bad person at the same time? That does not make sense. Just be one or the other. Be like Mahatma Gandhi or run an insurance company. You cannot do both. Story 33. For me, when people treat those with less power or status worse than those they want something from, that says everything. Story 34. Votes Democrat. Wants everyone else to pay for everything while they themselves contribute nothing except words. Thinks minorities are incapable and need their guidance. Story 35. They think they are better than everyone else. Toxic as hell. They will drop someone in a second if that person does not benefit them any further. Story 36. Does not have anything else to contribute except what other people are doing and their opinions on it. They cannot stand out on their own, so they try to deflect, take away, or minimize the contributions of everyone else around them. Story 37. They tell white lies that do not benefit themselves or anyone else. If they decide to lie about small things like my grandmother is very wealthy and owns a mansion in New York, when it has no impact on themselves or others, it is a red flag to me. It does not necessarily mean they are a bad person, but it makes me wonder why and what else they have lied about. Story 38. When they are constantly surrounded by drama from everyone in their life, but cannot see that the only common denominator is themselves. Story 39. They harm children, they lie about everything, they pressure and bully others into lying about everything. They only think about themselves and making money, they have no empathy, do not care about the law or the Constitution, they enjoy cruelty and insulting people, and they want to be a dictator and be worshipped. Story 40. Use of the words please and thank you may not seem like much, but they can strongly indicate a person who does not consider the feelings of others. Story 41. For me, the obvious reason is when they are not a good person. If they are good, then they are good. But if they are bad, then they are just not a good person. So yeah, that is how I know that they are not a good person. It is a sign or something. Story 42. Forma de actuar con la gente. Da igual que seas la mejor persona con una sola persona si con el resto eres miserable. Trata a todos por igual y trata como te traten. Story 43. They blame everyone else for their problems and say it is never their fault. Bonus points if they say everyone around them is crazy. Story 44. People who treat service workers badly honestly reveal more about themselves than anyone else. It costs nothing to be kind, and if you cannot show basic respect to someone just doing their job, that is a huge red flag. Story 45. They are dishonest. Maybe they do not lie, but the dishonesty is undeniable. They disappear. That is a sign that someone is just a crummy, untrustworthy soul. Story 46. Miracle friends. Like what you like, think how you think, grew up similar to you, lived experiences like yours, have the same problems, need the same things you need, do the work and enjoy the pleasures you do. Before you know it, you are their sponsor for a while, right up to the point they want to help you back or repay you somehow. Story 47. Constant lying, cheating on multiple wives, calling people derogatory names, threatening them with arrest and violence, angry at anyone who disagrees with them, filing bankruptcy many times, not paying employees and contractors. Story 48. They have no friends or family who visit them. They do not travel to see family, and they do not even talk about them. Story 49. Someone who does not take responsibility for their actions and blames other people for their problems. People who fabricate stories, lie, and are dishonest. I think I am describing a narcissistic personality, which will quickly reveal itself. Stay away. Story 50. How people treat others when they believe the other person has to put up with their behavior with no recourse. Like service workers, Uber drivers, restaurant workers, and others. Decent people will be patient and not make a fuss or be mean, unless things have gone seriously wrong with whatever they paid for, and all avenues to bring the problem to a polite resolution have been exhausted. Whereas difficult people will have no such qualms and will be demanding to the service workers from the beginning, treating them as if they are not real people. Story 51. A lot of the comments are too generic. Something specific to me is when a friend cheats on his wife. I know why he did it, but he is operating on a level where he does not understand how painful it could have been to her identity, as if she does not have pride or ego. The lack of sympathy for her is probably compounded by how insecure she made him feel, how selfish she was with her time and affection, and her impatience. Being impatient is not a great sign, and I am guilty of it too. Ultimately, they did not trust each other and separated, but he was unfaithful. How that connects to me is that loyalty is universal. I am 35, so I do not know how immature or delusional I am being right now, but he has better conversations with other people. I do not feel like an important friend, just a reliable one, if that. Getting back on track, he fraternizes with people who harm and harass me regularly, specifically management at work. He is never willing to do what I want to do when I offer to hang out. Maybe I am confusing loyalty with wanting to distance myself from someone who is mentally ill. I have depression, maybe I am the problem. I have noticed his behaviors and told him about it. Loyalty. What does that mean or look like in adulthood? I know what it does not look like. Story 52. Stealing items. I knew and trusted a couple of people who took something valuable right in front of me. The first was my work partner, who removed an expensive anchor from another boat in a planned raid. The second was helping someone move. The person was excited to show me 3 60-pounders she had taken from the new owner's possessions. We were perfectly good friends up until that point. I have not seen either of them for years. Story 53. Le encanta escribir discursos morales en cualquier red social o foro y se considera intelectualmente superior a la mayoría de los usuarios de Internet. Story 54. When people are quick to criticize everything and act as if they deserve special treatment because of their age or race. Story 55. I take more than they need. They will eat like a pharaoh while others at the table dine like peasants. They do not weigh the risk against the reward. To feel fulfilled or satisfied, they will risk things such as the innocence, freedom, and confidence of others. Story 56. When the first things that come out of their conversation with anyone are negative, speaking badly about someone, judging others, just negative and pessimistic, It is an instant red flag for me, or at least a proceed with caution sign. Story 57. They do not hold the door open when they see someone nearby walking in. Usually, I have noticed this is a clear sign that the person is more likely to be unpleasant. Story 58. Everyone has the capacity for both good and evil and is capable of making mistakes. However, it is not moral to take opportunities in life to catch people at their worst and judge them harshly based on a small part of their existence. Doing so does not grant moral superiority and only diminishes our shared humanity by reducing others to stereotypes. Let the person without sin cast the first stone. Story 59. What has happened with this subreddit lately? The same question is posed every day with slight variations. Signs of narcissists, signs of psychopaths, signs of violent people. Is it an example of the dead internet theory? Usually, you cannot know a person by some signs. Please do not try to apply these superstitions and weak patterns in real life. Story 60. People who are loved by everyone around them, no matter who it is, and no one claims to have any issues with them, often form a large group of people. This may not sound suspicious, but in some cases, it is. I had an ex-friend like this who turned out to be extremely manipulative and abusive. The people she abused, she used her good person reputation with others to witch hunt them into silence and to blackmail them. So, do not trust anyone who quickly becomes friends with everyone in the room. They are usually just mirroring others around them. The same applies to families who act perfect around everyone they know and seemingly never have any issues. Story 61. 1. How they treat people working in customer service, such as retail staff and wait staff. If they are comfortable being rude to them, it shows a sense of entitlement. 2. How they talk about others when they are not around. If they are comfortable speaking badly about people behind their backs to you, they are likely speaking badly about you behind your back. Story 62. Oh, people are rude to servers or anyone considered to be doing customer service work, or they mistreat animals. Story 63. They escape the testing track, come to your room, remove all of your personality cores and destroy them. Story 64. Making fun of disabled people is unacceptable. I had a friend in high school who would bully others because of their appearance or disabilities. He is probably still a disrespectful person. He would also use a racial slur when he saw black people. Story 65. Everyone has their moments. Can you really be a bad person all the time? Possibly psychopaths and malignant narcissists, but they are a tiny minority, are they not? Story 66. When you keep giving them chances repeatedly, but they do not care, try to understand or change. Story 67. How they treat animals is important. For example, I knew someone who only kept their dog in a room in the basement. The dog was not allowed upstairs. I definitely disapprove of people who keep their dogs in a cage every single night. Story 68. Lack of empathy, without a doubt. Any other antisocial flaws are correlated to a lack of inherent empathy. Story 69. They voted for a person accused of a violent crime, supported such a person, or did not vote and allowed that person to regain power. Story 70. Sociopaths cannot ever tell the truth, even when the lie itself harms them. They are always the victim, sometimes the hero, never the villain. Story 71. They try to impose their outdated morality on other people instead of just being a decent person. Story 72. Religious hypocrisy. They do not do what they preach, only giving advice and Bible verses, but in real life, worse actions are done. Story 73. They treat their friends and loved ones like fans, not as people they are supposed to love in return. Basically, they view everyone as disposable. Story 74. I feel like this is not spoken about enough, but your body will notice. Some examples are that your skin gets worse, you are less hungry, and you feel worse in general. What I have also experienced is that when I wanted to meet up or after we met up, I had headaches or my stomach hurt. So, just listen to your intuition and body. Story 75. When they always think they are the victim in every issue they have with other people and try to twist the situation to make the other person wrong, they are also wrong. Story 76. People who never see themselves as part of the problem usually are. If someone tells a story, especially about an ex or an issue, and there is zero reflection on their own part in it with not even a hint of self-awareness, they are not someone you want to be around. Story 77. I saw a woman at the beach slap her 8-year-old daughter across the head the other day, and that made me definitely know she is a terrible waste of motherhood. She knew I saw her. Story 78. They are not willing to compromise or understand your needs when it would not negatively impact them. For instance, they do not communicate clearly when you ask and then get angry when you do not understand. Story 79. Came here for all the hypocrites crying about one political side, forgetting the turmoil of the last 4 years. No crying, then. Irony. Story 80. Keep track of the way they speak, their beliefs, their opinions, and what they like and dislike. If I had done that, I would never have gotten involved with my ex. Story 81. They insert you, a friend, into the middle of their relationship with someone else to help fix the problems within, almost like a counselor or advice expert. Yet they do not listen to your advice. They will admit that you may give good ideas, but will not actively attempt to work on them. It is one thing to ask for another perspective, but please do not try to make me the negotiator between you and your partner. Do that work on your own and leave me out of it. Story 82. Wearing a stainless steel uniform, it does not matter how nice their smile is. My guard is immediately up. I am just instinctive like that. Story 83. A lack of empathy, impunity, mercilessness, and an inability to apologize. No accountability and hypocrisy. It is strange to encounter these kinds of people, but they make ordinary individuals appear angelic. Story 84. By their actions, not by their words. Anyone with vocabulary skills can make you believe anything they want. If you do not pay attention to their actions, you may fall victim. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.